What's good, family? IOBA, I'm TC. Today, I'm just going to come back at y'all with another, just off the top of my head, video. And yes, I'm going to talk a little bit about Kanye. So I checked out the interview, the apology interview, where he said, where he was apologizing for his comments about George Floyd. Made a video yesterday, and I talked about whether or not he actually meant what he was saying, or was he just, trying to cut his losses and maybe not lose any more money after losing that big Nike contract. That's what I talked about yesterday. But then I saw that video where he actually apologized, right? And on his phone, he had a list of corporations and mega corporations that are headed up or have Jewish people as their top executives. And there was a whole bunch of them. Now, a lot of that shit I already was aware of. But then I think back to the George W. Bush cabinet and the people he had around him during the time of 9/11. Stay with me. It was a bunch of Jewish people around him that came up with that Project for a New American Century document. Now, if you don't know what that is, you got to go back a little bit. You got to Google that Project for a New American Century. You gotta Google the Patriot Act and who wrote that shit and who his cabinet officers were. You had guys like Richard Pearl, Paul Wolfowitz, all these motherfuckers. But a bunch of them had dual Israeli and American citizenship. I said that to say that not only do this group of people run the most powerful corporations in the world, media and entertainment and everything else, they also play key roles in U.S. policy, foreign and domestic policy, but mostly foreign policy. I'm saying that to say Kanye was telling the truth. But what this video is about is truth tellers. And nobody likes goddamn truth tellers. Nobody wants to hear that shit. Nobody wants to hear the truth. Everybody wants their lie to be maintained and their fantasy to be maintained. But truth tellers in this world always catch hell. You can agree with them or you can disagree with them. But if you look back at history and you honest, recent history, and you honest with yourself, then you gotta think about Julian Assange. You gotta think about that Chelsea Manning person. You gotta think about Edward Snowden. You gotta think about Kanye West. You gotta think about Michael Jackson, Prince. You gotta think about Malcolm X. You gotta think about a whole litany of truth tellers who are hated and despised by the public, and who eventually got destroyed or killed or character assassinated. You know what I'm saying? Nobody wants to hear what's really going on in the world. I mean, if you want to be a politician in this world and you want to go down as a truth teller, then the Democrats and the Republicans are going to keep you off their ticket because they want to maintain this hamster wheel politics we do, where you just running in circles. Telling people to go out to vote for what? Case in point, right? Motherfuckers is telling us to go out and vote Democrat. Because if we don't vote Democrat, then the Republicans can possibly take over the House and the Senate. And I'm like, so? They said, well, you think you ain't getting nothing now. You really ain't gonna get nothing when if the Republicans take over. So you should go vote and vote Democrat. I said, well, what has the last 2 years shown me about Democrats. It has shown me that they ain't going to do shit for me either. And they come right out and say it. The point is, ain't nothing going to change. So why go out there and fuck around and waste a whole day? You know what I mean? Why? Because that's how I guess things get done or not done. That's how money gets spent. I put it that way. That's how the money gets spent and allocated. But as far as any big changes that help black people, there aren't going to be any. Whether you vote for a Democrat or whether you vote for a Republican. Now that's truth. And don't nobody want to hear that shit. So everybody, all of the people that came down on Kanye West calling him anti-Semitic, they just anti-truth. Because if you really analyze what he said with regard to Jewish people, he did not lie about that. I already told you what I disagree with Kanye on, that White Lives Matter shirt and the imagery of that, and when he said that white men are the most persecuted people in the world or in the country, and that, you know, that slavery was a choice remark that he made. You know what I mean? So sometimes he can say shit that I'm totally, you know, that's just totally out of my motherfucking range of understanding. But a lot of times he tells the truth. And sometimes when you tell the truth and certain people hear it, certain powerful people hear it, especially if they want their truth to stay, you know, hidden, well, they're going to systematically destroy you, which is what is happening to so many people out there now. Look at Nina Turner, that politician. Look at her. She ain't going nowhere. Why? Because she tells the truth. If you want an indication of motherfucker who try to ride the fence, tell the truth a little bit until it starts to burn, to hurt him a little bit, and then he start backing away from it, that's Bernie fucking Sanders. You know, he came off as a truth teller in the beginning, and then I don't think I'm going to do this. I don't think I'm going to do this. What he say? I don't want to wind up like Ralph Nader. Ralph Nader is another truth teller. He was an old politician from the 70s. And he got, you know, flushed down the toilet bowl of history because of the way he was telling on shit. So don't be too mad at Kanye about telling the truth. Be mad at some of the dumb shit he say and call him out on that, like I do. Call him out on that. But the man did not tell the truth, or did not lie. The man did not lie when he was talking about a certain group of people running everything. Because they fucking do. And if anybody was to sit down and analyze stuff with an objective eye, you'll see that that's what's happening. And you'll also see what happens to other people like Kanye who also tell the real and honest truth about things going on in this world. People want to be lied to. And the big corporations and the big powerful people in this world, they're going to keep lying to you. And if anybody start, you know, trying to buck that system, they just going to make you come off like you crazy, like you a lunatic. People been lying so much until the truth sound crazy. For real, people been lying so much and so often and so thorough until when somebody tell the truth, they say they crazy. Here's something else I picked up on with Kanye. When he was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and his doctor prescribed him some medication, and he didn't take the medication. They saying he going crazy because he didn't take his meds. Well, he brought up the point that maybe if he'd taken them meds, he'd have wound up like Michael Jackson and Prince. Or he took too many of them. All this, all that. All this, all that. He was an addict. He was this. He was that. He was addicted to painkillers. When they find him unresponsive in his house somewhere. So he didn't take the medication. And he's still here. So, yeah. I don't know, and I can't say what that man's real agenda is. But I do know that he apologized once they start digging too deeply into his pockets. But I can't say what his real agenda is, because I can't get in his head. But what he said about that group of people is not a lie. It's not. And anytime you start telling too much truth, this is what happens to you. So I'm going to leave that set right there and let y'all ponder on that for a while. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'll catch y'all on the next one. Help me get up to 100 subs. And I'll see y'all on the next one. TC, and I'm out.